Okay, looks like I'm live. Just waiting for people to join, and I hope a few people do. Got one person, I presume that might be me. When you come and join, just type in hello or something so I know you're there. Dipsy, watch it, Dipsy. How you doing? Leader Brewer, hi mate. Welcome. I don't know. Well, there's 5 people according to this. So just to make it interesting, yeah, well done, Dipsy. Can you hear me all right? We'll get the basics out of the way first. I presume you all can. Now I'm waiting for my mate Paul. Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, Dipsy. I'll put the hat on, right, because I ain't combed my hair. Look at the state of that. Hi, Glenn. Good sound. Yeah, thanks. Lee Brewer, what's the noise level like when you are £7 of noise? I think you know the answer to that, Lee. I'm not really sure what you refer to there, whether I've got a lot of noise or you've got a lot of noise. Everyone suffers from noise. I'm not set up as home base at the minute, but one day I will do that. I've got enough coax to run out and run an Antron. But if Lee's getting £7 of noise, unless you live out in the sticks, it's a little bit like that. I've got one like. Thanks, whoever that was. No one else is saying anything. It all seems to have stopped for a minute. Now, I'm just going to waffle on here a little bit about microphones, right? Back in the day, 80s, 90s and whatnot, we had a good range of choice of real quality mics. We had the ecstatic range, you know, the teardrop. We had the Cobra Dynamite Plus, the Turner range, which my first ever CB. Metalhead, yes, at last you made it. How you doing, Paul? Yeah, my first ever CB, it came with a Turner Plus 2U on it, cracking mic. But you also had the Plus 3B, the Turner Expander, and there was a few others as well. We had the K40 speech processor, things like the Ham Masters, the Turner Expander, loads. I mean, now you go into a shop and you want to buy a mic, they're all sort of cheap and cheerfuls now. I've actually got 3 of these, like the Capo. I don't know what they are at the minute, but they ain't bad, but they're sort of, do you know what I mean? They're a bit sort of cheap. Also bought myself one of these on the Hi Richard Giles. That's the Ecstatic Road Devil. Now it cost me 49 quid, and to be honest, it's not a lot of good. First thing that happened with it, fellas. Yeah, I gather, Lee, that they're sold out everywhere. A lot of people have been saying that. First problem I had with this, when I went into the shop, I said I wanted one, and he said, "Oh, what do you want it wired, Uniden or you know, Cybernet?" And I said, "No, Uniden. It's going on a 3900, I think." He said, "Okay, pick one up. It's in the box. It's the blister pack. There you go." And it said on it, Uniden. Great. Got it home. Plugged it into my rig keyed up. Thought, what's going on here? So I thought, I'm going to have to rewire it. It's a bit of a mistake. Used to have a Cobra 29 LX. Good old days. Dean Mumby saying hi to Dave. I don't know who Dave is. I'm just rereading a message. Sorry, Lee. The noise level where I am, it varies. Some days when I go out in the car and sit outside on the drive, I might have 4 bars of noise. Other days, it might be 3/4 of the way across. Other days, you've got no noises. Paul, Metalhead 503, still got one. What have you still got, mate? Yeah, anyway, getting back to this thing. It was keying the rig up. So I thought, that was bloody weird. So I got my meter out and was testing that for something ain't right. I took the back off and the battery was shorting out on the circuit board. That's the first thing I wasn't impressed with. I had to wrap the battery in sellotape, and then people started saying I had a clunk click every time I keyed it up. Like quite a... Apart from that, it works. But 50 quid, you'd expect better, wouldn't you? Now, on my President McKinley, we've got 14 people. Come and say hi, everyone. Tell us what kit you've got, if you've got any problems with it, and whatnot. At the minute, I'm using this on the McKinley. It's a Solarcon. It's an old mic. And on the back, it's got a Roger Bleep switch. Now, there is a mic, looks identical to that. I can't remember the name of it. They're supposed to be very good. So if you're looking on eBay or Amazon or whatever, they'll probably be all right. Now, if you notice, I've got 2 cameras here, both exactly the same. I just thought I'd mention the fact that I ended up with 2 because I had too many Abbots one night and ordered the same camera. So, yeah, Metalhead 503, 30 dB of noise. Yeah, absolute nightmare. 12 people now. People are coming and going. That's fair enough. I can't complain. I follow someone on YouTube who's got like, I don't know, 100,000 subscribers, and he'd done a live stream the other day and he only had 22 people join. So, you know, I'm just appreciative of you guys. Glenn, used to love my US built static mic. Yeah, they were proper, you know. You go on eBay now and you want to buy a teardrop static, people are asking like £100, £200. It's, you know, you name their price. So if any of you guys can recommend a good mic for other people to get, and maybe, you know, mention a few plus points on it, it would help us all, you know. I can't sit here and tell you guys everything because you guys have got kit that I haven't. I want to know your opinions. Leader Brewer was on 585 net last night. Good DX to Shropshire and Cardiff. Poor receive. I think a lot of people are suffering with noise at the minute. Now, I'll share this with you. I won't mention any names. Someone I know at Radio Ham. Wall-to-wall noise right the way through the band, all the way through the CB band. I think there was only 1 or 2 bands where there was no noise. Done the normal thing. Connected the rig up to a battery, turned off all the electric in the house. It wasn't that. Walked around the street with a handheld looking for the noise. Couldn't really find it. And in the end, she rang Ofcom, right, about the noise. I think you have to actually pay for that. Marky Tube HD, hello mate, welcome. If you're on CB, what have you got? So it just keeps the text going, and it's interesting for me and everybody else. So yeah, the Ofcom man comes round. He'd done a few checks, and he said, when I got the call to pop round, he didn't have all of the equipment in his van that he needed. Okay, he said, so he made an appointment to come back. Came back with what I can only describe. Hello, Steve. Good signal over the net. 73s. I presume you're going hands. I don't know. If you stick around, whatever. So he turns up with like this RF sniffer, Mr. Ofcom. And even Ofcom couldn't find this noise. It would come and it would go randomly. They couldn't find it. So I'm not really sure. And there's a lot of new people on that don't really know the difference between a natural occurring thing when the skip's running, when your noise level comes up to QRM. Now it's QRM and QRN, QR Nancy. Never hear QR Nancy mentioned anymore. Gizmo White, hey up Steve, you're right mate, how you doing? We were just talking about QRM and, you know, people's noise levels, which is a nightmare. I mean, you can put choke. I mean, I saw the other day someone was making a choke with a coax on a gain master. Now, the coiled up red bit on the gain master is a choke. So, you know, what can I say about that? Marky Tube uses PMR 446 radios mostly. Yeah, I've got a few. You'll know what that is, the old Intec 5050. It's had all the bits done to it. I've got the Midland G7s. Oh, what's the other set I've got? Motorola Talker 80 is it the yellow ones? 10-kilometer range and all that. They're quite nice. Obviously got one of these, you know, Bofung, whatever you want to call it. And I've also got a portable unit that does 25 watts. UV5R, yeah, that's basically what that thing is. In actual fact, if you lot don't mind, as we just touched on PMR 446, I'll show you the 25 watt rig I've got. Let's chat amongst yourselves or whatever. And that's my mic drawer. Loads of bits and pieces in there. Right, let's have a look. I know where it is. Somewhere. All right, stand corrected. I ain't going to spend all day looking for it. It's here somewhere. It looks just like a normal rig. Yeah, it's got a built-in power pack with it. There's an aerial that you can screw on it. Be great for emergency communications from hilltop. Gizmo's got a Colt 295 from 1981. Paul's got a few of the oldest. Now, there was a lot of Colt rigs, and I can't remember. I think there was a Colt Black Shadow, wasn't there? I think that was a sidebander. And then a rig I mentioned the other day, anyone that was back on in the AM days, was the small Cobras. I think there was a 21X and a 19X. Had a couple of them. Had the old 5-pin plug, horrible thick plastic sheath things. Incidentally, if ever you've got one of them and you want to wire it up, what tended to happen with them was you was applying the heat to the back of the plug, it would melt out of the plastic. So what I used to do was cut a potato in half, stick the 5-pin plug in it, and then solder the wires on it. The potato held the pins in place and it transferred the heat away, so it didn't melt your plug as well. A little tip there from way back. Okay, this is a little bit slow. I'm wondering where that rig's gone. I haven't got a clue. Something I will say that some of you might find handy, I don't know. Some time ago, someone I knew had a Yaesu 450D, and they wanted an adapter kit. So you could plug it in, it's split into two, this wire, and you could have like a foot pedal and the other plug went to your microphone. You could either have a foot pedal or a hand trigger switch. And the name of the company, I'd never heard of them at the time, they're called Technofix UK. And they've got a website, www.technofix.co.uk. So it's worth having a look on the site. They're nothing to do with me. I've never bought from them. But the bit of kit that the guy bought came in that, and it just happened to be there. Okay, where are we? Okay, good tip. Well, it's about sharing. If you've got a good tip, you share as well. Now, something else that I've always had, bearing in mind I've done the ham thing and CB as well, was have a compass, right? Now, some of you might be thinking, what the hell would you want a compass for? Well, if you've got a beam, having a compass, you know that you can set your beam up properly. And if you're at the top of a hill, if you've got like a good outlook somewhere, if you've got a compass, you can sort of see where that outlook is, whether it be north, south, east or west. And it might just clue yourself up a little bit as to what sort of places you might get the best. And if you're trying to get someone that you've gone up there to get, and you're thinking, well, I'm up like 700, 800 foot above sea level and I can barely hear them, the compass will tell you whether you've got a good field of view of their direction, or whether it might be behind you on another part of the hill that might even be higher. Richard Giles is just reading the Foundation license manual at the moment. Yeah, Richard, go for it. Binatone. Our message has been retracted. What happened there? In actual fact, I was looking for my Binatones earlier. Not the Binatones, the Motorola's. That's it. I ain't got a clue where they are. I've also got the Action 11. I think they're called the Action 1100s. And I bought them. It's a nice little bargain on Amazon. They was on offer. Yeah, Richard, I presume you know you can do the Foundation online now. Fred in the shed. You all right, mate? How you doing? Yeah, Fred, we've just been talking about bits and pieces, different mics, PMR kit. Okay, so this is something I did want to touch on. Is antennas. What you're all using, be it mobile or home base, and what's your opinion of them? I can tell you now, hands down, the best vertical I ever had was the Victor 4000. It was an unwieldy thing. I think it's 30 foot long. And once I got it up on 2 scaffold poles, it had quite a wind load on it. In actual fact, one day I'd had the aerial down to try and tune it properly for SWR. And I had 3 guidelines on it. And I thought, I'm done with it. You know, it was a hot day. I thought, just leave it. I'll have it back down tomorrow. In the middle of the night, I woke up and them winds that we had. Okay, Dipsy, catch you later, fella. Catch up on the stream later. Okay, I'm not sure how long I'll be on it. It was absolutely blowing an absolute gale. The first thing I thought when I opened my eyes, I could even hear little bits of dust hitting the window, you know, when it's that strong. Open my curtains, aerial, gone. Put my coat on, run down in the garden. The bottom scaffold pole had bent. Like, was it 90 degrees? The 2 poles and the aerial were 2 gardens down, still attached. So what I had to do is jump the fence, lift it up, and force it back round into my garden. Monster of an antenna, and blew away anything else I ever used. Okay, I think we're all like a bit preoccupied here, but while I'm here, if I can, I should show you my stack of rigs. Top one's a President Barry. The next one's an audio line, was it 341? Then the McKinley. Then I've got 3 3900s. That's the McKinley box, Lincoln 2, and then the 2 6900s underneath. I've got plenty to use. Oh, actually, one of them is not a 3900, it's a 360 FM. Looks like a block of flats. Yeah, I've got a few. I've got another few random ones kicking about. I've got the CRT one, which is like about this big, tiny little thing. And I've also got the Millennium as well. And the Amstrad 901, which needs a little repair. David Fraser. Hi, Steve. Just got here. Davey CB. Yeah. Good job. Thanks, Davey. Steve Ellis. Well, there. Look what the cat dragged in. How you doing, Steve? Blimey, I ain't heard from you for ages. How are you? Mr. Henry. Hi, Steve. Happy to see you. I missed those videos filmed on the highway. Hope you continue with your mobile station. Yes, is the answer to that. Yeah, I want to get out there. There's a lot of things I want to do, but not working has been quite restricting on activities, let's say. Been doing up the villa. Yeah, well done, Steve. Did you flog all your kit in the end, Steve? I know that you had a lot of it for sale. Got rid of most of it. So, Steve, you're not on the rig over there at the moment, or I presume, or you just got like a basic setup, or have you not bothered with it, mate? I'll have to look up them Uniden 900 XLTs. I don't know what one of them is. Like the hat. Yeah, cheers. I just thought I'd put it on for the crack. I'll wear it when I'm on holiday, you know. Too much Coca-Cola for you. Well, anyway, Steve, it's good to hear from you, mate. I haven't heard from you in a long time, not even on Facebook. So, yeah, appreciate you coming along. Well, I've got 20 people in the room at the moment, and I don't think I've seen one comment about home base aerial. Richard's got 10 rigs at the moment. You can never have too many, mate, let's be honest. Sirio 2016, yeah, they're popular at the moment. I think, well, they're 5/8 wave, aren't they? You know, I think my own opinion is once you get to the 5/8 wave size antenna, I don't think there's a lot in them. I had a Sirio 2012, probably nearly 30 years ago. It was a great aerial. We also had the CLR2, and I think that was a 5/8 wave. Performance was very similar. I'm sure if you got the Sirio 827, the 2008, and the 2016 and did side-by-side tests, I don't think there'd be a lot of difference in it, to be honest. Now, someone might say, you're always going to have them ones that go, oh, mine's the best, or the silver rod 5/8 was still better in some ways, though I can't really beat them for what they are. No, they're dirt cheap, you know. 20-year-old Antron 99 going to try a 5/8 wave Game Master, hoping for less QRM. Well, good luck with that one, mate. I ain't going to sit here and tell you it's going to be better. You could go the other way and it'd be even worse, because the 5/8 wave's bigger in physical size than the Antron. It's killing the hobby at the minute, QRM. It's terrible. Libra 827, I've never had one, but I've known enough people that used to live local to me with them, and yeah, they're blinding aerial. Gizmo, she's using a Sigma Excalibur Compact. What does that look like, Gizmo? I don't know that one. Innertone Latitude 100, this is a PMR rig. I wish I'd have bought some of my PMR kit nearer, so I could sort of share what I've got. One thing I've found on PMR, I don't know if ever you guys have ever found it, I've mentioned this in a past video. Where I used to live, I was out in the sticks a little bit, and quite often you'd get these people with the rucksacks and the sticks, and they'd go walking, you know. Some people were quite old, some were young. And one day I could hear this couple, and they're chatting to each other on these two rigs, whatever they were, probably, I don't know, Binatones or Motorola's, whatever. And the guy kept having a go at his girlfriend, saying, when you finish, you have to say over. You keep forgetting over. But both of them had their Roger bleeps on. And in the meantime, I'm sat there. I've scanned, obviously I know what channel they're on. I've also scanned what privacy code they've got. So I thought, right, I've got them. I'm gonna have to just, you know, go in. So I went on there and I said, look, I hope you two don't mind me butting in. I said, but the fella there you keep telling your girlfriend to say over. She doesn't have to say over in actual fact, because the Roger bleep means end of transmission. You can get away with not doing that. I said, you know, hope you don't mind me joining in. And the woman says, my God, there's someone else on here. And he goes, yeah, I heard him, and I never heard him again. It's almost like they ran away with their heads on fire. Sorry, I just got a bit sidetracked there. I'm trying to read the messages here. I'm going to actually look that aerial up. The only bit I didn't like in the description of that aerial about the Can't even remember what you said it was now. A Sigma, I think it was a compact. I don't like the compact bit. I normally like going large with the aerials. Richard Giles, the XYL said, I can set up in the bedroom now. Go for it, mate, before she changes her mind. Trust me. Sigma Excalibur. That's a pretty fancy name. I'm going to write that down and look that up. So Gizmo, what does it work like? And have you used other aerials that you can sort of compare it against? Compact. I know I can easily watch the video back, but it's written there. It might as well have been chiseled out in granite, because I do rely on my notepad. Steve Ellis says, have you ever used a delta loop? No, I haven't. I've used a magnetic loop, which I've still got, incidentally. And that is, it's about 1 metre across. Obviously, it's round. It's got another loop about yay big, and it's got a 400 picofarad capacitor on it, which is about as big as a small loaf of bread. Huge, great big thing. Can that be used on 11 meters? No, it can't. It will just tune 12 meters. The guy that made it for me said there's a little bit too much, I think, capacitance for 11. But I could modify that. Steve, with that thing, sat on the floor, I kid you not, outside my shed when I lived up in Bedford. I didn't have an electric motor to it, weren't like remote. I had a long stick and I sellotaped the end to the shaft of the capacitor. So I just sort of sat there, put the rig in TX and just turned the stick, tuned for noise and SW. Well, first off you choose for noise and then you key up and then you fine tune it. I was on PSK 31, which is a digital mode, put a call out, got someone in the States with a genuine 10 watts. It weren't 20 watts or 50 watts, allowing for losses in the coax and all that. I weren't into that. I was strict 10 watts out the rig. Worked brilliant. Working skip on that on PSK 31. Quite often I could put a call out on 5 watts and have 3 or 4 people come back. Magloop is something Fred should try. Yeah, they're a bit of a work of art to build though, Steve. I don't know whether I could be bothered. Yeah, Fred says that the caliber sounds interesting. It's going to be a compromise, isn't it? Let's be honest. Bigger is better. You know, no matter what anyone says, you want a big aerial if you can. So Gizmo, if you can do it, get yourself a big boy. Now I know it's not, you can't do that all the time. Yeah, Fred in his shed said he's looked up loops and they're expensive. Yes, they are. Very expensive. But if you look on YouTube on how to build them, you can actually make them. Now, I was quite up on loops when I had mine, and it would tune down to 80 meters right the way up the band to 12 meters. And 40 meters was my favorite band that I used to like putting out CQ calls on. And they did say that a mag loop would be a few S points down on a dipole. I found it really hard to make contact using voice, but PSK 31, it worked. And then if you want to get really technical and start talking about signal to noise ratios, they're absolutely fantastic. I had a switcher. Okay, I'm not really into switchers. I'm not a big fan of them, but I know a lot of people use them. Maybe they have to. I was listening on my wire one day to these two guys chatting, and if I'm honest, I could only hear one of them. The other one was in all the racket. I switched over to the mag loop, tuned it, and I could hear the other station clear as a bell. So yeah, signal to noise ratios, they're in an absolute league of their own. The variable capacitor. Yeah, well, mine, Fred's got a 400 picofarad capacitor on it. It's about this long, about that high. It's a proper big boy with proper spacing between the tuning bits. And you the guy that built it, his name was Ray. I won't give out his call sign. 100 watts easily. Was a lot of the problem with the smaller capacitors. The air gap is not very big, and you end up with arcing and stuff like that. In actual fact, if you keyed up on 100 watts with the loop and put a light bulb near it, I don't mean touching it, I mean near it, it would light up the light bulb. And mine's 240, 230 volt. Then you have to be a bit careful with them, because you can damage yourself with the RF. Yes, they are, and dangerous as well. I've seen a video on YouTube of a guy made a loop. I don't know what power he was putting on. This was a long while ago. And as he was using his loop, he noticed some arcing on some of his garden furniture 10 feet or more away. Like a tester coil for, yeah, they're almost like something out of Back to the Future, because electrically you would think we've got a dead short in that little loop and it's not going to work, but they do, and it's beyond me. The science behind it is well beyond me, but they do work. Richard, when I get the brackets on the house, halfway silver rod would be about 50 foot in the air. Yeah, that'll do it, mate. Yeah, 10,000 volts. Yeah, I can believe it. I had to be very careful when I was using my loop, because there's a lot of voltage flying about. And I had cats, and you know how inquisitive cats are. They like to sniff things and whatnot. So yeah, I had to keep it well out of the way. It's almost like having an hand grenade live in the house. Stand back, don't go near that thing. It'll cook you alive. Work the world with a silver rod, Steve Ellis did. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about skip and antennas, right? Because there is a lot of, for want of better words, rubbish flying about at the moment as to what will work and what won't work. Oh, God, I'm trying to think of a random contact. Well, here's one for you. When I lived up in the little village just outside of Bedford, I was chatting quite happily to my mate. I had an Antron at the time. The base of the Antron was about 6 foot. It was just not much further above my head. It was just really for local chat. On FM, I was on a little York. So what would that have been doing? 4 or 5 watts at best. Roy in Corsica called in. That was the first time I ever spoke to him. 5 watts. I mean, Ray's Aerial was doing most of the work, to be fair. I've been driving about in the 80s on another time. I had a KT40 on a lip mount on the boot. and a straight 40 AM home base, a little General Electric thing. I don't know if anyone remembers them. They used to have like a wooden effect. Put a call out on the calling channel. Got someone in Italy. Richard Milligan, greetings from Anglesey. Hi, Richard. Thanks for joining. 25 people now, according to my count, and 9 likes. That's not much of a hint, is it? Gizmo Whiteman, electrician. Richard Giles, 65 foot of RG213 coax. Willy nilly. Hi, Gary. Don't know who Gary is. Yeah, so getting back to the antenna thing, you can have whatever antenna you like. If the skip ain't there, you're not going to make the contacts. And I'm sure a lot of you have been through this at some point during your hobby experience. You'll get a rig and you'll have an aerial, and you might have just changed it up a little bit. Might be a different aerial, might be a different rig, and you'll be calling CQ, and you can't get no one. And it puts that little seed of doubt in your mind. Oh, this aerial must be crap. Or there's something wrong with this rig, you know. But it just takes the test of time. I had it with a Megawatt 4000 when I first put it on the car. I've had loads of DX from the car, going right back to the days of the modulator, or the first time round, not what they're churning out now, and the super modulator, KT40, K40s, fire sticks, whatever. And at one point I had a DV27 on my car. Didn't really like that a lot. It did work. And then one day I'm on the Stereo Megawatt 4000 and I managed to make a contact. And I thought, oh, it does work after all. And since bloody hundreds of them, now I'm going through the same thing with a President Texas. Steve says he's still got a Stalker home base. I ain't really up on the X's. What is that? Is that I know there's a Stalker 15 home base. A friend of mine had one. He used to do really well on that, Steve. Willy-nilly. Sorry, hello, Steve, not Gary. That's another hairy cornflake. I don't know what that means, but yeah, cheers. Hello, willy-nilly, whatever your name is. I don't know what to call you. Just call you hairy. Gizmo asks what DXing is. DXing is, DX can be a couple of things, right? But generally speaking, it's when your signal is bounced off the ionosphere and comes back down in another country. DX is basically long distance, but you can have what I would call a DX contact of in a straight line without the ionosphere, if that makes any sense. Sometimes you can get a thing called ground wave, which is a very short skip that runs along the ground. Some people say they can predict it and look up things on the internet. I just take it as it comes. So Gizmo, if you don't know what DXing is, do you know what the ionosphere is, Gizmo, and how it affects radio signals? If not, I can just give you a very, very crude description of it, give you an idea. Leader Brewer, I'm going to find some high ground. Yeah, good for you, mate. Okay, Gizmo, you don't. The ionosphere is a layer of the atmosphere around Earth, right? When it gets ionized by it basically gets ionized by the sun. There's, you know, I'm going to dumb this right away down. When you transmit let's say on the CB, your signal goes in all directions, including up. When it comes to the ionosphere, if the ionosphere is ionized, your signal can't pass through it. It will bounce back. Okay, so let's just say this is your aerial. It's a job to do it on this webcam. This is your aerial. Your signal goes up, hits the ionosphere, comes back down, hits the earth. It will go back up, hit the ionosphere, come back down. That is skip, right? You can look that up. Look up, I don't know, propagation or something like that on the internet. You'll soon see. High ground is easy for me. 2 miles away, I can get 1,400 foot on a mountain. This Steve, what are you playing at, man? Put the villa on a bit of a back burner. Get yourself on a rig and get up there. It'd be great, you know. Some of the you can work people back home. Richard Milligan says the ionosphere acts like a mirror, like a reflector. Yeah, that's right. And the way in my head I see it, if I could animate it, the length of the skip would be doing sort of this. That's the way I perceive it in my head. And it's you know, you can take a degree on propagation and the whatnot. I've always likened to it, you know, you see smoke in a room when there's a beam of light coming through and it goes across, you know, it's always moving. It's a bit, I don't know, it's probably absolute rubbish, but that's the way I see it. I've been busy with solar to worry about radio. I'm fully off the grid here. Wow, Steve, that's really something, mate. How are you converting your solar energy into electricity? Have you got a battery bank, or if you got like them gizmos that up the voltage? Private radio investigations. Yeah, welcome. Refraction. That's a good word. I like that word. We'll call it refraction then. Got an inverter, 9.8 kilowatt of lithium battery storage. Yeah, superb. Now, Steve, do you have a lot of problem with heat with that if you're using anything with a high power draw? Is it outside? Because I know lithium can be a little bit, you know, I know they can explode in the and private radio investigations says, hi, Steve. Yeah, hi. Have you got a name? Private radio. Yeah, it's all getting a little bit confusing. It's interesting. So I'm like watching these guys. Rob. Yeah, okay. Yeah, welcome, Rob. There's no sort of structure to this. It's just it go live and here we are, mate. So yeah, welcome aboard. Earlier on, we were talking about microphones. I think the group has changed around a little bit. So can anyone recommend a mic for CB radios apart from the Road Devil or the Capo mic? No, don't worry. You're welcome, Rob. Now, here's one that could really throw the spanner in the works here. It could end up with a bit of a scrap. On Facebook, I saw I can't remember what was going on, but I got involved. I sort of dipped my toe into this conversation. It was about resonant aerials versus non-resonant aerials and SWR, right? Steve Strayhawk Papworth. Hi, Steve. So, yeah, hi, Steve. Thanks for coming along and joining. It's all been a bit random today. So, yeah, what are you guys' opinions on resonant aerials versus non-resonant aerials? I'll give you my take on it, right? I've always gone for some sort of decent SWR, right? I've always avoided quarter waves of coax going into the antenna system because that's what I was taught to do. And I was always told what comes out your rig, you want the most of that going straight out your aerial rather than being reflected back. But there's a lot of talk of, no, just put a tuner on it, bang, away you go. It might even work better. And I don't agree with that. Probably get flamed for that in the comment section. But this is going back to when I was on the amateur band. I had a lot of comments. I'm just reading the comments here. Steve Gizmo is asking, do you know if the 555 is... That must be a typo there. I presume you said working as not get it. Right, let's clear that up with you, Gizmo. Can your rig get to 555? Interesting topic, Glenn Fryer says. Now, this is Glenn, are you referring to resonant aerials versus non-resonant aerials? And I will come back to some of the comments I had when I was on mainly 40 meters. Yes. Yeah, it really kicked off on Facebook. Some people got right out of their chair about it. I can get 555, but it's not working. When you say it's not working, when you key up, I presume you've got no output. Gizmo, let's see if we can't get this straight. What CB have you got? See what comes up here from Gizmo. So I'll try and help him. If I can't help him, maybe some of the others might be able to point him in the right direction, but I'm sure this will be an easy fix. Okay, Gizmo, that's an old rig, I think, isn't it? When you say it's not working, what do you mean? Would your rig not transmit on there? And do you mean that it's an issue with a rig, or you're calling on them, you're not getting anybody? Okay, yeah, cheers for that, Steve. Raz229, yeah, welcome aboard, fella. Use a Turner JM Plus 2U or a Telex CB73. I don't know that one. Yeah, Turner range, belting mics. Love them. I've not got any now. I wish I did have. Yeah, Gizmo. Right, okay, you've got a CB, and according to Steve Ellis, it's a 40 channel. Okay, there's a lot of things it can be. It can be your antenna. You can have a Gizmo. Have you checked your SWR? This takes a little bit of time, so maybe I'll come back to a Gizmo. And if one of you guys wouldn't mind, can you sort of take care of him? I just want to get this off my chest about resonant and non-resonant aerials. Now, I don't want to poke any of you amateur guys in the eye here over this, but I'm hoping that you'll get the angle that I'm coming to from it. A lot of people that I heard on HF through earwigging or chatting to them, they would have a piece of wire down their garden, very basic, 100 watts into it and a tuner, and they could talk right up and down the length and breadth of the country and do some sort of long distance. That's fine. I never knock that, you know. This particular day that I had a bit of a snotty comment. Okay, I'd made myself an aerial. I think it was 40 metres. If I'm honest, I can't remember what band it was. I had a 30-foot telescopic tower. It was quite a basic one, right? So I thought, what I'll do, I'll make an aerial from that plus a piece of wire. So I fed the 30 feet with the coax, okay, and below that I banged in a 4-foot earth rod and connected the braid. So it was nothing fancy. So I had 30-foot vertical and then a horizontal bit of whatever length. I can't remember exactly the length, but it worked out. When I finished trimming it down, the band that I was using, I didn't need a tuner. Okay, I'm putting out calls. Suddenly, someone came back to me, got chatting. He was quite polite, you know, rah rah rah. And then he says to me, he was sort of implying that I was running more than 10 watts, which in one way made me quite happy that I was putting out a nice signal. But then, like, it got to the stage where he was like, well, I've made loads of aerials and none of them seem to work like that, especially not on 10 watts. Now, I was sort of, it made me feel quite proud that I'd made something that worked so well. And on the other hand, I didn't really like what he was saying. And I hope you're sort of following this, because a lot of people that I would see, they've got, I don't know, there might be an aerial. A lot of people, I mean, one guy in Ireland, he had something like 1/4 mile of wire. And then he had about 10 miles of wire buried in his garden, you know, and all that. Very fair play. I mean, it worked. But my own experience is get as much of that signal as you can radiated by the aerial with a good tune. But someone else will come along and go, no, that ain't the case. You know, it always amazed me. .1 is a bit high, I swear. Who's got 3.1? Well, Gizmo, I hope that you do get yourself sorted out, because it's very easy to forget, isn't it? I mean, like a lot of people, I've been on since 1981, and even before then, my first ever rig didn't work, wouldn't transmit. And I still had little Magman that used to sit in the shed listening to it. And eventually, it was 1981, I swapped a Suzuki GT 185 road legal for my first little home base setup. Wouldn't dream it. I mean, God, if I had that Suzuki now, it'd be worth a fortune, wouldn't it? Cannot turn power down on radio. Also, mic has to be nearly off to work when it can't have any swing. As you're talking about swing, Jason, I take it you're talking about AM. So let's have a little word with Jason. Yeah, Jason, can you just put up what rig that you've got there? And I presume you're talking about AM when you're referring to swing. Classic, like that, Steve. Sorry. Oh, classic bike. Yes, it is now. It was a runner as well. The old mains were a bit dodgy, but it would still hold top gear, you know, but you had to sort of rag it a little bit. It seen better days, in other words. Electric start. If I'm honest, I can't honestly remember. This was years ago. Yeah. Talking about 1981 or just, you know, round about then. I think it was. I had it off a friend, and my friend Dennis. And he came round to my house one day on this 185. I had a Honda Bentley. It was a CD 200. It was all right. Yeah, I'm starting to think that, Lee. I think that could be. I don't know. He came round. We had a bit of a chat. And I said, my other mate was there. I said, here, I'll have Dennis. So while Dennis was in the house, I turned his petrol off. Right, so Dennis went off up the road in a big cloud of two-stroke. Half hour later, he comes back all covered in sweat. He said, my bike's broke down. Oh, my God, I felt so guilty. He'd been trying to push start up and down the road. Okay, Gizmo, someone sort of called you out on maybe you're on a bit of a wind-up, but you've got this little aerial 100 feet up. Gizmo, just, you know, explain that a little bit. Do you live in a block of flats or something? Yeah, I did. I felt really bad, Glenn, because he's got like his, I think he had a bell staff on, you know, he's got his helmet on and his gloves and all the rest of it. Dripping in sweat he was. He only got, it's less than a mile, but knowing me as a wind-up merchant I am, he should have known better. He should have just thought, I'll check my petrol. But Dennis was one of them, never, he might as well not have had a petrol tap on his bike. I'm just going through the comments, guys. Now, here's one for you, Glenn, if you know your motorbikes. I bought a Suzuki 250 Hustler years ago. and it was only running on one cylinder, and I think I gave something like 50 quid for it. It had been, it'd seen better days. And I traced the fault down to the condenser. I put one on off a car, just see if it went, and it went. And I happened to mention it to someone a few years ago, and he said, "My God, if you've still got that, it'd be worth a fortune." We've got 23 people at the minute and 15 likes. So yeah, appreciate them likes. But this one's gone a little bit crazy. It's most of it that's going on is in the Hustler Super 6. All I can remember, it was a 250 Hustler. Apparently they're a fly. I never did have it on the road. I did plan on putting a set of Scrambler tyres on it, but an offer came up and I thought, yeah, you can have that. And there you go. It weren't really an off-road bike, as you know. Okay, Gizmo lives on a farm. Yes, Glenn, be worth a lot of money now. It wasn't in bad nick. I mean, the mudguards are a bit, the tyres are scrubbed. The back sprocket it was a little bit hooked on the things, but Peter, nice to see you on, Steve. Yeah, thanks, Peter. Welcome, of course. We've just been chatting CB radio, mics, setups, aerials, you name it. We've basically been covering everything. Now, this has gone on a little bit, in actual fact. But I feel guilty going because there's a few of the lads trying to sort each other out here with an antennum problem and recommendations for... Okay, here's one for you. Paul, Tango Mike 635. Are you still on here? Because I ain't seen nothing from you for a little while. I think you probably fell asleep. Gizmo lives on a farm. Gizmo, yeah, Steve, that's the Luton Paul. Metalhead, yeah, Paul, you're still here, mate. Come on, you need to come and join in a little bit. There you go. Two people have turned up. One's in Spain. One lives around the corner from me. It's a small world. Gizmo, if you live on a farm, my advice would to be get yourself a 5/8 wave silver rod. It's going to cost you 30 quid and a little bit. Get that up 100 foot and get yourself an SWR meter. Maybe watch a few videos on how to tune for a good SWR. And I think that will really sort you out. Yeah. Hi, Paul. I did set an alarm, in actual fact, to go off once I'd been on here so long. I think I've been on over an hour. Oh, my God. I've certainly flown by. Well, I've got a few jobs to do, guys, including fixing my sister's door, because I used to be a door fabricator, and she's got a double door. And although it's not very old, it's not locking very well. And I did say that I'd pop over. Okay, Gizmo, you've seen Fred's videos. Well, there's loads of videos out there regarding SWR. Understanding it is when you first start out, it's a little bit confusing, but I'm sure that you'll get it. But just keep watching them videos and little tips. Now, Gizmo, if this aerial of yours is 100 foot up in the air, right? Now let's presume it is. What coax are you using on it? Okay, Gizmo, with your aerial 100 feet up, what's the furthest you've got? Whereabouts in the country are you? Let's see, see if we can all judge the performance a little bit. Throat feels like it's been cut, fellas. Gizmo, I can get out to the US, but not on CB. Well, that's all down to band conditions. If you're on amateur radio, you've obviously done at least a foundation. Yeah, Private Radio Investigations. Thanks for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it, and I'll catch you soon. Right, guys, I'm going to have to shut this down, unfortunately. And Gizmo's using ham radio coax. Okay. All I can say is thanks ever so much for joining, everyone. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed it in the... yeah, Steve. Respect, man. Thanks for coming along. It's good to know that you're out there. Catch you later, Fred. See you later, Richard Giles. Agizo Cars. Yeah, man. Like the thumbs. What's the best way to power up and connect my 9900 into my car? Willy-nilly. I've got a separate battery, mate. And I've got it behind the driver's seat. I've got crocodile clips on the end of the power cables. Bosch, connect it to there, job done. Nice and simple. Marquee tube. Catch you later, fella. Yeah, 73's to you. Stay safe. Fred in the shed. Yeah, respect, Fred. Catch you soon, mate. Same to you, Richard Patterson. Catch you later, fella. You have a nice afternoon as well. Peter, see you later, Steve. Look forward to more vids. Yeah, thanks ever so much, everyone. For it's just been a bit of a muchness, but I have enjoyed it. And there's a few of you, obviously, that have been on here and enjoyed it as well. Okay, I'll just wrap this up. I'm sorry, lads, anyone who's in the middle of a conversation on here. I really do have to go, and I can't really leave everything running and then go downstairs. It's so easy to forget that it's all on, and you might be seeing a little bit more than what you wanted to, if you know what I mean. Yeah, catch you later, Paul. Strayhawk, Papworth. Yeah, they're static. I wouldn't recommend them, mate. Not worth the 50 quid. The only thing that my one worked any good at was as a noise cancelling mic. I didn't like it. Made me sound nasally as well. Anyway, I'm just going to wrap this up right now. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for joining and taking part. Makes it worthwhile. Be safe out there because of the virus. I know some of you don't believe it's real, but I'm on the cautious side. David Fraser, you stay safe as well. And hopefully I'll be doing another live stream very shortly. Could be tomorrow, could be next Sunday. So look out for that one. Catch you later, fellas. Thanks again.